Welcome to Sports Scene. This week on Sports Scene, we have so much to talk about. To begin, women's soccer just squeaks into the Big Ten tournament as the 10th seed. They'll take on Northwestern in West Lafayette, Indiana. Next up, we're going to talk about the World Series. It's currently tied up at 2 apiece. What a wild series it's been. 18-inning marathons, blowouts, so much to talk about. Next up, we have men's and women's basketball, both with their home openers, one on Monday, one upcoming on Tuesday. We're going to talk about the keys, the newcomers, everything, and finally, welcome in here to the studio, football. Football has coming off of a crucial bye week after losing to Notre Dame. They now travel to Lincoln, Nebraska for a big-time showdown. It's going to be put up or shut up for Lincoln Riley. All that and much more upcoming this week on Sports Scene.
Welcome back to another episode of Sports Scene. I'm Nolan Ezett.
And I'm your co-host, Nia Satterfield-Brown.
Now over to Adam in the pit, who's got more on the World Series.
This year's World Series is closer than ever. After 4 games, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays are all knotted up at 2 games apiece. First, we have to talk about one of the greatest baseball games ever, Game 3. Shohei Ohtani smashed an MLB postseason record, getting on base 9 times in the 18-inning classic, including 2 home runs. A Dodger legend was made with the last player on the roster, Will Klein, pitching 4 scoreless innings. His previous long in the MLB was 2. And finally, Freddie Freeman ended the 6-hour marathon, launching a walk-off home run to dead center, becoming the first player to ever hit 2 walk-off home runs in the World Series. The Dodgers took the W 6-5.
I will remind you, you are the starting pitcher in the next game. We saw Dave Roberts, your manager, check on you in the 11th inning. How do you feel, and how will you feel tomorrow?
今日の試合の展開っていうところもあって、下の状態、投げることに関してどう思いますか？
もう早く帰って寝て明日に備えたいです。
I want to go to sleep as soon as possible so I can get ready.
Game 4 was much quieter, however, with the Blue Jays dominating most of it, winning by the score of 6-2. The pitching of the Blue Jays shut down the Dodgers' offense in their 4-run 7th inning, shut the door on any hope of a Dodger comeback. Now with the series tied 2-2, Game 5 at home becomes a must-win game for the Dodgers, who will head to Toronto for the final 2 games. Nolan, what can you tell us about the magic of Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. So far in the World Series, 3 home runs through 4 games. He's batting .400. Absolutely impressive. He's been the MVP of the World Series so far, and for him, it's nice to see that because previously in the postseason, if he wasn't hitting a home run, which he had 3 multi-home run games in the postseason, so happens a lot for him, but if he's not hitting that home run, he was kind of struggling. He was batting .220 prior to the World Series, but now it looks like he'll hit you a home run, and if he's not doing that, he's still batting really well. He's been the MVP so far.
Yeah, it was interesting to see they decided not to intentionally walk him in Game 4. I mean, we'll see what they do going forward. Nia, who do you see taking home the series?
I see the Blue Jays taking it home. You know, the Dodgers had a chance to capitalize last night, but they ultimately failed. So I'm thinking it's the Blue Jays World Series for this year.
Yeah, and Vladimir Guerrero was absolutely unreal. He's always been unreal. He's been the story of them for the playoffs, and only time will tell who will take home the World Series in 2025. Game 5 starts at 5 o'clock tonight, back at Dodger Stadium.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke with Annenberg students last week at the USC Next Level Sports Conference. Let's take a look.
Thank you for being here so much. It's really a pleasure to have you here at this really big event. And now, this is a very different kind of a conference, I feel. Not many times we talk about the intersection of sports and business, but as the commissioner in NFL, why are you here today talking about this intersection, and why do you believe it's important to have these conversations about the connection between sports and business?
Well, I think sports is really become a big business, and I think people view it differently. Some view it through an investor's eye, and so they think about PE, and others think about it as just their love, right, and their passion. And that's the one we spend most of our time on, but obviously I have to spend a lot of my days talking about sports and business and looking at how sports is as a business and how it continues to grow and how we look at the various challenges that surround us and how we're going to continue to have that kind of a growth cycle that we want.
What does the future of NFL fandom look like from your perspective?
Now, obviously, everything's immediate. Everything is new technology that provides that access that I could only dream about. I probably couldn't even dream it. But I think that's great for our fans, ultimately. And it's also a really great tool to be able to find new fans and to be able to use these platforms and these technologies to be able to bring new people into your game. We can send things to our fans halfway across the world. You couldn't do that.
So what exactly does next level look like for the NFL in terms of the sport itself and as a global business?
Well, you have to look at that two ways. I think where the business or the league is going to go itself is global. I think it's our biggest opportunity to continue to bring new fans into the game ultimately, and also to play our game. But you always have to look at, and I hesitate to say it this way, but we call it the game, but it's your product ultimately. And if your product isn't competitive, attractive, relevant, it's something that wants to draw people in. And we like to say football brings people together ultimately. I think sports do in general to a large extent, and have impacts on communities in the world that are far beyond what a normal business can do. And I think that's where I think we have to build as people in sports.
And I wonder if you have advice for young professionals today who are sort of navigating a very different media and professional landscape.
You have to manage your career. You have to grow within wherever your organization is. And I think that's by taking on the right challenges and understanding there's something bigger than yourself. And your job is to figure out how to create value and how to make that better. Whatever it is, whatever business.
Great.
I could give you all the things your parents probably told you about hard work and discipline, and they all count an awful lot too.
I love how he spoke about bringing the NFL into new markets. The NFL's global expansion is what I'm looking forward to the most. Fingers crossed I can get to a game in Madrid. Looking forward to that.
Number 23 USC football heads over to the cornfields this weekend for a Saturday matchup against Nebraska. Nia's key is to take care of tackling. Mine is to force Dylan Raiola into mistakes. And Adam says the Trojans need to stop the run. 3 huge keys for the Trojans to take care of business. Adam joining myself and Nia for this one. Nia, I'll start with you. Why don't you explain your pick?
Honestly, the defense has been just super terrible with this allowing holes in their defensive line, especially those front 7. They were doing so well in the Big Ten initially the first 4 games of the season. However, they've really fallen apart and they've been allowing people to get through their holes and get some really big plays, especially on first down. So if they just handle tackling in that first front 7, they can honestly get some success this weekend.
Yeah, so far it's been deja vu back to the Alex Grinch days. Adam, why don't you explain yours?
Yeah, you put it, perfectly. Alex Grinch, it feels like it's that all over again, especially against Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love absolutely tore us up. It was unbelievable to see. The Trojans cannot stop anything. They're going to have to fix those run gaps. The USC Trojans have been notorious for not being able to stop the run. And if they're going to want a chance, ESPN currently gives them a 14% chance of making the college football playoff. They're definitely going to have to win out. It all starts with Nebraska and especially stopping the run game.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my pick, forcing Dylan Raiola into mistakes, that's important to me because I think Raiola is the best quarterback that the Trojans will have played so far this season. That said, Raiola is on the younger side. He's thrown 7 interceptions this year. That ranks 4th in the Big Ten. And he's gotten sacked 26 times. That ranks 3rd in the Big Ten. Raiola is going to make some good passes. He's kind of going to dot you up. You got to force him into a couple mistakes, and if you flip that possession, that'll do it for the Trojans. The Trojans will look to uphold its undefeated record all-time against the Cornhuskers, as they currently boast a 5-0-1 record. Their most recent matchup was a 28-20 home victory for the Trojans in 2024.
Now let's meet the 6-2 Cornhusker squad, a team ranked 8th in the Big Ten standings. Junior running back Emmett Johnson is quietly putting together one of the most productive seasons in college football. His style is strikingly similar to Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love, and we all saw how he torched the Trojans. Let's take a look here. As you can see, his biggest weapon is not just his speed or his vision. He's elusive and can make defenders miss. He ranks 5th nationally in rushing yards with 837 yards on the ground, 146 carries while finding the end zone 9 times this season.
Yeah, well, my player to watch is star wide receiver, sophomore Isaiah Hunter. Hunter is on a 4-game tear for the ages, with 20 receptions for 328 yards and 4 touchdowns. His game of the year so far was against Maryland, hauling in 2 touchdowns on top of 125 receiving yards, with his play of the game being that 64-yard house call off of a screenplay.
And I'm going to go with the leader of this team, who I just talked about, Dylan Raiola. He's a naturally fluid passer with a strong arm that's super accurate, especially for a sophomore. The biggest weakness critics looked at last season was his immobility. And although he still can't quite scramble, he certainly can move around the pocket. I mean, just look at this pocket presence as he avoids every Michigan pass rusher. He took care of his biggest weakness, and now he's a true threat. These are the guys to look at ahead of Saturday's big matchup against Nebraska. But Liam, take us to the past.
The time has come. It's a must-win situation for the Trojans if they want any hope at the college football playoff. And no better place to break it down than X's and O's. I'm Liam Irvin. USC obviously traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers. The question everyone is asking, how do the Trojans insert themselves on the road? Let's break it down right here. Northwestern played them last week. A lot of success in the run game, and this is just smash mouth football. Both tight ends in the flats of Power O set up a clear run on a 3rd and 2nd situation, and the handoff is a counter option. So it provides the running back a space on the outside of the field to go around. Big blocking, a scrum in the middle, physical Big Ten football. This is what you think about between a game between Nebraska and Northwestern, and it ultimately leads to a huge hole and a crib call. But I'm sure you're wondering, how can USC implement that in their game? Well, it's actually pretty simple. They've already done it already this season against Michigan at home at the Coliseum. Physical running backs, physical run game. Here's Alani Noah, the right guard. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. He likes to pull over and pick up that left tackle on the other side. Brian Jackson, a power back. I have a feeling he's going to have a huge game this weekend. And once again, it's these runs that count for the Trojans. You don't need to house a 70-yard touchdown every play, but 7, 8-yard gains every single play is what matters for the Trojans. Right here, Jackson utilizes a whole patient run, and he ends up finding himself all the way in the end zone as well. Nebraska ranks 115th in opposing rushing yards per game, 5.1 yards per game allowed, and 92nd in opposing rushing yards per game as well. Old school football might be the secret to success in Memorial Stadium on Saturday. But outside of USC football, let's go to break. Coming up after a successful preseason men's basketball is almost back. And the women's team approaches its first game as well for a look at a few of their exciting additions. All that and more coming up next.
The USC men's basketball season will begin next week. I sat down with head coach Eric Musselman to learn more. Coach Musselman, we're entering a new season, or rather a new era of USC men's basketball. What are you most excited about looking forward to this season?
Yeah, we're excited. We've had a really good off season, meaning, the 8 weeks in the summer. And then, we flow into the regular school year starting in late August. And here we are, 2 exhibition games under our belt. Now it's real time. So Hopefully the team will continue to grow throughout the month of November and December, and then we get into the heart of Big Ten season in January, and hopefully we're firing on all cylinders by then.
And speaking of that exhibition game, you were in Phoenix this past weekend. What are some takeaways you had from that game?
Yeah, so the game at Grand Canyon, unbelievable crowd. I mean, it's like a frat party / discotheque in a basketball arena. So I was really impressed with our players' ability to kind of play through a lot of emotions that the crowd provided whenever GCU made a scoring run. Our defense was phenomenal, and we learned through 2 exhibition games we got to be much better offensively.
Yeah. Now you have 9 transfers on this new roster. What's been the most challenging or most rewarding about meshing their respective talents and personalities?
Yeah, so I would say that, when you start talking about team chemistry, it always starts off the floor. And guys like Ezra have done a really good job of trying to pull guys in and have them over to his apartment and do, team bonding stuff outside of the coaching staff. We actually have a competition right now where any player that's with a teammate takes a picture, sends it to our strength coach, and then the coaches are doing the same thing. Wow. So it's coaches against players on team bonding outside of our own building. So we're conscious of having so many new people and so many new players, and then we're conscious of trying to figure out how we can all come together both on the floor and on the court. And on-court chemistry is really going to happen once we start playing games. We'll figure out what combinations work, what combinations don't work, who plays better with certain guys, who might not click based on spacing and shooting, and there's all these different things that go into our decision-making process.
Yeah, that's so fun and interactive and creative to just have an inner team competition between coaches and the players. So speaking of having fun, you know that you're no secret to having fun with the skits and just interacting with the community. What's your message to the USC student body as well as the larger LA community about this season of USC men's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do all we can, both personally as a family and then as a basketball program, to get out in the community, whether it be supporting other student athletes on campus if they have a game, whether it's going to an Angel game or a Dodger game together with staff or with players. I think the biggest thing is just like we understand that USC is unique. It's got a really great brand, and then how do we elevate to where some of the other programs are? I mean, there's a lot of winning programs on USC's campus, and we want to try to. I know it's early stages, but how do we turn Galen Center into our own unique home court advantage?
USC will host Cal Poly at Galen Center next Tuesday, and their team are known for shooting beyond the arc. Coach Musselman told me that his players must work on their transition defense, making all shots under duress, and play with more pace offensively. Nolan, what expectations do you have for this USC men's basketball team?
Expectations aren't very high. This team reminds me a lot of the squad last year, not in terms of roster construction or play style necessarily, but in terms of it's a brand new team. Last year we saw that there was talent, but it was new. None of the players knew each other. You have one off season to get used to playing with each other. The chemistry is not quite going to be there. I expect the same thing to happen this year. Yeah, there's talent. You got Chad Baker-Mazara, you got Elijah Arenas, you got a lot of talent. Are they going to work effectively? I don't know. And if that's the case, you really need everyone to just be a star. Amarian Dickerson, I think he's good, but I mean, he had a great tournament appearance or a great tournament performance, but you're really going to need every player, whether they're starting or on the bench, to be on point if you want a brand new team to work.
They do have 9 transfers on this new squad, so it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh together. I think the ultimate X factor for the Trojans will be whether or not they can gel together quickly enough to contend this season.
The women's team is under a week away from its home opener at Big Ten Media Days. Lindsay Gottlieb discussed the battles this team will endure without star player Juju Watkins.
We'll have multiple ball handlers and people able to score on the perimeter in a number of different ways, between Jazzy and Ken. We added a couple key transfers with Cara Dunn and London Jones, and a lot of new faces in the front court, either young players who didn't have the opportunity to play as much last year or new players that we brought in. So I think versatility, pace will be our calling card for sure. We'll have multiple.
Gottlieb is confident that these new faces will contribute from day one in LA. Adam has a breakdown of these athletes.
Yeah, well, just as you put it, the USC women's basketball team has high expectations, but without Juju Watkins, this begs the question, who will take over for her? Enter the newcomers. Well, to begin, we have senior guard Kara Dunn. This past offseason, Dunn transferred from Georgia Tech, where she averaged over 15 points for the past 2 years. She's coming off her best season yet, being named to the All-ACC first team after leading her squad to an appearance in March Madness. What makes Dunn such an elite scorer is her size, using her 5'11" frame to snag offensive rebounds, and when you pair that with an elite true shooting percentage of 60, you get a difference maker. Next up, transferring from across town is senior point guard London Jones. Coming off of a season where she led the top-ranked Bruins in three-pointers made, she brings elite shooting to a Trojans team that could certainly use it. Her ability to find open space on the floor and knock down big-time threes will be crucial for the upcoming campaign. But again, finally, star of the show, #1 overall recruit, freshman guard, 6'1" phenomenon, Jazzy Davidson. She averaged 28.5 points in her senior year of high school, a number that the previous Oregon high school record holder, Cameron Brink, did not even come close to. And for this next stat, you're just going to have to take my word for it. She won Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Oregon for girls basketball in all 4 years of high school. Yes, you heard that right. All 4 years. She is the first player in the history of the award to win it in 4 consecutive years. Her ability to score from anywhere on the floor reminds me of Juju Watkins, with a great touch from behind the arc and no hesitation when driving to the bucket. There certainly will be no shortage of talent for this year's team, who will look to bring home the program's first national championship since 1984. Now we'll toss it to Liam to give us his top plays of the week.
USC football with a bye week last weekend, but it didn't stop the Trojans from having an array of highlight plays. Top plays coming at you live. I'm Liam Irvin. Let's jump right into things. To number 2 now. Feels like we've seen this story before. At the end of the second set, to keep it alive, London Weejay denied once, reloads off a great rally, and spikes it home. She had 18 kills in this one for the 100th win in Coach Brad Keller's career. Now to number 1 from UCLA, a crosstown rivalry, very defensive game, and the best chance of them all coming in the 58th minute from the Bruins. A wide-open counterattack is met by Bella Grust, a superhuman save, as she puts her body on the line to keep a padlock score that ended in a draw 0-0. Weejay and Grust round out this week's top plays. For more on this upcoming week in sports, we send it over to Adam for the weekly forecast. USC.
Yeah, well, this past week was busy, but we've got an even busier one this upcoming week in Trojan sports. Welcome to our 5-day forecast. On Thursday, women's soccer travels to West Lafayette, Indiana to take on Northwestern in the first round of the Big Ten tournament that they barely squeaked into as the 10 seed. Now on Friday, men's tennis travels to San Diego, where they will have a big tournament, and they're now just getting into the swing of things this season. Until Saturday, men's football, they travel to Lincoln, Nebraska, where they have a huge game with college football implications on both sides. It's going to be a cold one with a high of 48 in that one. On Sunday, men's water polo is at home against Stanford. They've strung so many big wins together, including a win against the #1 ranked UCLA Bruins just last week. And finally, on Monday, we have our men's basketball home opener. That'll do it for our 5-day forecast. Now, let's throw it to the bloodbath that will be Trojan of the Week with Casey and Terrence.
Thanks, Adam. After its 2-week hiatus, USC's premier debate segment is back. Time for Trojan of the Week with my fiery co-host, Casey Kaselner. Let's head to Galen Center for my Trojan of the Week, London Weejay. Last week, Weejay led the Trojans in kills against both Maryland and Washington, helping USC to 2 victories, only dropping 1 set, and has the Trojans on a 4-game win streak, heading into a massive matchup against UCLA this weekend.
Some sail the 7 seas, others save the 7 shots. USC women's soccer goalkeeper Bella Grust posted a shutout against crosstown rival and number 18 ranked UCLA. Now, just because USC's offense wasn't producing, it didn't mean Grust couldn't brush off the dust and gain some trust from her back line. Save after save, she stayed calm against a nationally ranked opponent and got USC a much-needed point heading into the Big Ten tournament. It wasn't her fault the Trojan offense couldn't score, and she did all she could to keep the Trojans in it. Have a day.
All right, well, Dr. Seuss, how about you go first?
Well, like I said, she gets a shutout against the number 18 team in the country, one of the best teams in the Big Ten. London Weejay was good, but she was playing against 2 teams this week that had losing records.
Can I quote you on what you said about London Weejay via your TikTok and Instagram at Casey Kaselner? London Weejay is on fire during your calls.
On fire, not
phenomenal.
Trojan of the Week.
You
They're two
did
different
not
things.
hype out Bella Gruss coming into this.
I
You
wasn't on
knew
the
that
call.
London Weejay was fantastic. You had to hype her up. Poorly timed TikTok, sir.
Yeah, but I wasn't on the call for soccer. Look, Bella Grust kept USC in it. She had 7 saves. You know how hard that is?
Yeah, I mean, when
7
they're going
shots
right
coming
at you, I could probably save them too, both those clips, when they go right towards your face.
Those were really good shots. Come on. Those were really...
I mean, really good if you categorize them right at her hands. Then yes,
London
of course, they're
Weejay's
really
team,
fine.
I said it already, they played 2 teams with losing records in the
That
Big
doesn't
Ten.
matter because she led the team both times in kills. You got to get a win either way. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
It all matters
you gotta
about
No.
context.
You got to get a win against whoever you're playing. They swept Washington. They beat Maryland.
No, they did not sweep Washington.
No, excuse me.
Nope.
It was the other way around.
Okay.
Sorry. 2
Stand
M
corrected.
2M. Okay. 3-0 and 3-1 respectively. Fantastic games. They took care of business. Now they build momentum against a UCLA team who they previously lost to,
UCLA
continuing that 4-game win streak into a massive UCLA game.
Yep,
Casey, we saw them at Rock and Riley's after their big win against Maryland. They're hot. They're going forward. They're feeling themselves. UCLA, it's all in the back.
You
of
said
London Weejay.
4-game win streak. You can't reference games that weren't this week. It's Trojan of the Week, not
but
Trojan of the
building
Month.
Momentum.
Maybe you should get your eyes checked.
Why wouldn't I build momentum? Why wouldn't it matter of them building momentum?
Because
They're
it's
winning
Trojan of the Week, not Trojan of the Month. And Bella Grust's
it's a
team,
continuation of it.
That doesn't matter. That's in the past. It's irrelevant.
But why doesn't it matter that they're on a 4-game win streak?
Because it's Trojan of the Week, and we're talking. It's not Team of the Week.
So
London
fine,
Weejay is an
It's a 2-game
individual.
win streak when they're going. Do you not believe that it doesn't matter about momentum going into UCLA?
No, because it's Trojan of the Week. It's not momentum of the week. What are you talking about? Bella
But
Grust
you
had a
need
shutout.
momentum in it, and she is the reason for that because she led the team in kills both times.
Well, I won this one.
No, you
Trojan
most
of
certainly did
the
not.
trick or treat. We gave you the candy, but now it's time for a surprise. Spin the wheel, get a prize. This time, your reward is knowledge. Terrence, let's have you decide our fate.
Hopefully this doesn't fall over. What does that say?
Rams and Chargers.
Ooh, a good one.
Who is the better team?
Better in LA? I'll go first. I'm going to start with the Chargers. As soon as they got Joe Alt back, that team with Justin Herbert, they just look 10 times better. It's really a non-factor, of course, that does talk into can he stay healthy. The Chargers offense is humming on all fronts. They've finally got Justin Herbert some targets. Quentin Johnson remembered he can catch the ball. He is a first-round receiver. Keenan Allen has been fantastic since coming back to the Chargers. And, of course, Ladd McConkey also been great. They blew a great Vikings team out of the water last week. The defense is also looking phenomenal. Chargers, I think, are by far the best team in LA.
Well, yeah, I'm going to take the Rams here. I mean, they should be undefeated, and I know that doesn't really matter. I mean, they had a tough loss to the 49ers in overtime.
Woulda.
Yeah, but they've been really good since that 49ers loss. They had a really big win against the Jaguars. They've really been building up momentum. Matthew Stafford still has it. Tutu Atwell, great receiver, very underrated. I mean, their defense is great. A lot of young guys like Jared Verse on that defense. It's continued to enforce its will every week. I like the Rams. They're a team for me that they're in a really tough division with the Seahawks, the 49ers. You never know what they can do. But, even the Cardinals too. Who knows?
I mean, but at the same time, Chargers are in the same division as the Broncos and Chiefs.
Exactly. So I think both
they're
teams.
both very good
Both
teams.
are very good, but both teams
Can we
have.
see an LA Super Bowl?
That would be pretty cool, and it would be in California as well. So that would be a pretty awesome thing for LA fans. But that's all for the wheel today. Coming up next on Sports Scene, the LA Lakers are without King James, but have found success from their other stars. We look at the Lake Show 4 games in. Coming up too, how did the Rams fare across the pond? Stay tuned for a look into the state of Los Angeles football.
4 games in, the Lakers have split their matchups with 2 wins over the Timberwolves and Kings and losses against the Warriors and Trailblazers. With Luka and LeBron both out the last 2 games and LeBron out for the entire season thus far, Austin Reeves took over with 51 and 41-point games. While his 51 bomb led them over the Kings, 41 points and the impressive step-up performance wasn't enough to top the Blazers. In Luka's 2 games played, he's averaged 46 points a game on over 60% shooting. His 92 points in the first 2 games set a franchise record. Reeves is averaging 35 a game on 57% shooting and has been lethal from 3-point range. Luka will still miss a couple more games, but Reeves clearly is taking care of business. The shooting guard will have a chance to continue his stretch of 40-plus point performances tonight as the Lake Show rematch the Wolves.
While the Rams have had more success and popularity recently with their 2022 Super Bowl win, both clubs appear to be competitive in the 2025 season. So let's see, which team is really LA's team? 37-year-old Seminole caller Matt Stafford looks as sharp as ever, slinging 5 touchdowns in a 35-7 win against the Jaguars in London. Rams moved to 5-2 on the season, good for a second in a competitive NFC West. Chargers continued their continued success. Second-year running back Kamani Vidal rushed for over 100 yards and defense totaled 5 sacks on their way to a 37-10 win. In a city saturated with so many sports options, it'll be interesting to see which team could actually bring home a championship. That's a wrap on this week's edition of Sports Scene. I'm Nia Satterfield Brown.
And I'm Nolan Ezett. We'll see you next week.